News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Alan Gilbreth, darkhookmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian. And for all you chefs, martial artists, and survivalists out there, I want to wish you a very happy, and I'm doing it today, National Knife Day.
Wow. Okay. Now, that's a good one, too. Boy, Max has been on a pretty nice little streak here with selecting the holidays. So,
I was really placing money on that one. I'm not even going to look up other holidays. I know where he's going today.
Okay. So. Max, I happen to know you've got a really nice custom knife, too, don't you?
I do. I can still carry it anywhere because it's not safe in Memphis.
Don't mess with Max if you come across him. But National Knife Day, which who knows when the first who knows who the first knife inventor was, Alan? I mean, we're talking a sharpened rock, right? I mean, more or less. A pointed stick, stone. Is that a knife?
Well, actually,
don't give us the 4-minute segue. Never mind.
Your first true knives were all made out of obsidian.
Okay, there we go. Oh, obsidian's sharp.
Very
You've taught me
sharp.
that. Yeah.
Razor sharp.
And gentlemen, in honor of the occasion, I wanted to offer a very special deep cut today. I don't know if I should spoil it any further, though.
Okay, let's not spoil it. Let's leave the listeners hanging there. So Max will be doing one of his deep cuts to do with Knife Day. I'm sure that'll be okay. Well, if you go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, you're going to see some. You're going to see some interesting posts. Wait a minute, I didn't give out our phone number yet, Alan. I'm out of whack here. If you want to get in on any of the conversation today, it's a good day to do it. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989.
And send us a picture of your nice knife collection on this National Knife Day.
Yeah, maybe you're a guy like our buddy Cliff from the SCA. You probably got swords. I guess swords might fall into this category.
Absolutely.
Or I don't put it past our buddy Norman Rockwell. He's got a pretty impressive collection of stuff himself.
Yeah, if you've got a really cool knife or sword or something like that, send us a picture, and if it's cool, we'll post it. I don't want it. I don't know. I can imagine the knives our buddy Deuce keeps at his house, but
or Agent 732.
Right. But so National Knife Day is on the table, so that's going to be a good one. Well, Alan, on our Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, I've already posted about our great moments in building history, which is about as low hanging fruit for Alan as you can get. It's the Hersey Chocolate Factory, and also you can't talk about that factory without talking about Hersey, Pennsylvania, which basically was, I mean,
it was built because
of it. There's some really, I mean, we all love a good chocolate bar, but there's also there's always a dark history that goes with some of this too. So the good, the bad, and the ugly of eating your chocolate bar, but. So that's going to be in our great moments in building history. We've got a follow-up report. I'm not going to over-tease it, to do with our home security robot situation. That's getting out of hand. Alan brought in a must-have item of the week that I got to admit, I am getting this one, Alan. This one I don't have, and I could have used it this week. In Alan's week in review, it sounds like you were pretty busy, man. I noted about 4 different projects you were doing, so you were all over the map. We've got a lot. I'm not gonna give. I got 10 different subjects here, Alan. I'm not gonna tease. If I tease them all, we're not gonna get to them all.
We won't get to half of them.
So I'm not gonna do that. So we're gonna start though. But I came across a story that I wanted to roundtable with you guys, and I'm definitely throwing it open to the listeners as well. I'd love to know what they think, but I was wondering, we always think, what is our future going to look like? Is it going to be more like the, like the Jetsons or the Terminator, or who knows where it's going? But now I'm starting to wonder if our future isn't going to be more like the Flintstones. You know the story I'm talking about, Al. So basically, I came across this story, and Max, this is right in your wheelhouse. There's I know we love to bash the French and everything, but there's a theme park out in Western France where they specialize. It's not like a amusement park. They basically do historical reenactments, like Viking battles and Roman chariot races.
So it's just where a bunch of LARPers go.
But, well, yeah, exactly. But one of the featured events is they have hundreds of trained falcons and trained crows. Apparently, crows are highly intelligent, right, Alan? A crow is a raven, right? When we say a raven or crow,
Ravens, magpies, they're all the same family.
Okay, well here's what they've done. They're trying to encourage people not to litter. Obviously, apparently they have a lot of problems with cigarette butts in France. Like
What? Yeah.
people just toss their cigarette, and I'm amazed. I mean, they look so healthy and skinny and fit, but a lot of them smoke. Man, I don't get what's going on out there. But
smoking in Europe, I never heard of it.
yeah, but they're throwing their cigarette butts everywhere. So what they did is they trained 6 crows or ravens, whatever you want to call them, to pick up the cigarette butts or other trash. They fly it to this little box, and if they drop it in the proper slot, they get rewarded with food.
Yes.
Well, this place is as clean as can be now. They're just flying in there. They're cleaning it up and everything. Well, and then apparently the falcons are highly trained there. They've got a system of highly trained birds. And I'm thinking, how do we bring this to our homes?
First question, though. I have a first question, though.
Okay, go ahead.
How do they all they have to do is drop something in the box.
Correct.
What if they what's to make them discern whether or not something is actually trash or not? Maybe they put in someone's precious car keys for their Fiat or whatever.
Well, I think it's inorganic. Well, that's a good question, but they trained him to, I guess, spot out paper and cigarette butts.
It's
and
how they were trained.
And yeah. So
to be perfectly honest with you, I'm going to swing around here and look at Max and go, if you've got wild crows hanging around your yard, you can make friends with them, and they will bring you gifts. So,
well, how do we do this, Alan?
Several friends of mine have set out little crow stations.
I knew we'd get mileage out of this.
There's a little crow station.
A crow station.
And, the crows figure out, hey, you're putting out kind of basically crow kibble, a.k.a. really cheap dog food.
Is that what they want to eat? Because I want to know.
They're big.
Yeah, but what's their preferred? I'm not going to stick roast beef out there.
They are not vegetarians.
What's in a fork? They're not going to eat bologna or something.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they'll steal
You
some
get a
bologna,
pack of bologna and some trained crows.
Bologna now.
Okay.
But what they do is they kind of set up a little feeding station specifically for the crows. And then, it's kind of like crows and hummingbirds. If you sit out there and sit real still and don't upset anybody, they get used to you. And then eventually they watch you go out and put out the food. So they get to where they're like, well, hey, I'll give him something back. Now, and they'll bring you little shiny rocks or snail shells and stuff like that.
Okay, I was going to say, so they're not bringing you cats will bring you like a dismembered chipmunk or
that's
something.
What the cat loves you because it's trying to feed you.
Okay.
So, I brought you this chewed up, dead, slobbery thing as an expression of love.
Yeah, or that I'm providing for the family.
Right.
Yeah.
So, when you get into how smart is a crow or raven, I've seen estimates as high as a 3-year-old child.
Really?
Well,
so they're that clever.
They recognize people or their friends. They laugh. They play just for fun. They goof off and play. So they're exceedingly smart birds.
Max, it sounded like you had something. So
question arises though: are they friends or are they just simply allies until it's no longer convenient?
They're going to be a lot like you, Max. I'm just going to put it like that. How about that?
What does that mean? That could mean a lot of things.
That means when you're dead, you're food.
That's what I was just thinking.
Okay,
I was just about to think that because they're just waiting for you to drop because the whole thing of crows eating bodies.
Here's where I was going. Here's where I was going because I was also very interested in the falcon situation because they said falcons are extremely loyal. If you have a pet falcon, it's basically a lifelong situation. You're bonded for life. What if you get yourself 4 or 5 falcons? As a home security system. I mean, I think a home intruder, well, for one thing, you got plausible deniability. If a falcon attacks a guy trying to climb in your window, and they get injured, well, it's not your fault. But
it is. You train the bird to do it.
How do they know? I mean,
I'll
deny that in court.
Because the bird's sitting in your lap cooing at you.
Well, I like the idea of trained falcons as a home security and maybe to go retrieve things. Hey, can you grab me that? I left my car keys at work.
All right. Well, since you brought up the falcons, there are 2 animals at work, and they're at work at airports.
Oh.
You have falconers. Some falconers work for bird-heavy area airports.
Right.
And before the big jet takes off, they go fly the falcon a couple of times to get rid of the pigeons and the ducks.
So they don't get sucked into the
Well,
engine.
yeah, because they see the bird go cutting by and the birds get away. You also have border collies that are being used for the same thing. So to make sure that we don't have a flock of ducks that's going to get upset on the pond and go fly up into the jet engine,
you clear the
they'll
lanes
go run
with
the dog down there and clear everybody off the lake.
So it's like sheepdogs and shepherds.
In a lot of ways, there's now when you get into crows are also thieves.
I
They
was waiting
like
for you to
shiny
say this.
objects.
Well, that's what I'm
So-
saying. Why can't we? Yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of saying, I hope they check that dust bin, because if you dropped your watch or a coin or something shiny, chances are one of those rooks is going to pick it up and go trade it in for some crow kibble.
Just imagine the Ferengi training crows.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I don't
they'd
know,
be
man.
picking pockets.
Well-
They're if you've ever dealt with one, and I've been in rehabs
Okay.
with them, and they
All right.
watch you.
Well, that's on the table today. The, harnessing the animal kingdom and working in cooperation. Weird. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
I'm always thinking one step ahead, like a carpenter that makes stairs.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I mean, I know the guy's a pampered, spoiled guy. He's probably never picked up a hammer, but wouldn't you think one staircase ahead, Alan? One step ahead ain't going to cut it, man. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, especially if you'd like to let us know how you're celebrating National Knife Day. I hope you're doing it legally and with no ill intent for anybody. Right?
Good job, Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, thanks, Mac. Thanks for dragging it into the good. Knives in the hands of a surgeon save lives. Knives in the hands of a criminal, But anyway, we have that on the table. Also, I wanted to get the thoughts and feelings from our listeners about this idea that I put forward about training not only crows and falcons, but really any reasonable animal. Let's not adopt a tiger and let it roam your yard for home security. But the other thing, Alan, we have goats that cut down. If you have a field full of poison ivy and overgrowth and everything else, just get yourself 20 goats, let them loose.
And they help fertilize the field.
I think the future could look a lot more like the Flintstones than we realize.
When you're going to have a goat pajama party, AKA like you've got a really overgrown area. Kudzu is a good example. That kind of stuff. There are people that will rent you 30, 40, 50 goats, however many you need to clear a certain size area. And
I know those people.
They move them in, and man, the goats get a little stimulation. They're somewhere new. They get to eat all kinds of cool new stuff, and you get a cleaned property.
Well, and I had a realistic question for you, because here's the thing. Okay, it's one thing to have a crow, because you were telling us before the break that crows are highly intelligent, pretty loyal until you die. Then they're going to eat your corpse.
Well, so will your cat or your dog.
But
so
they can be trained to bring you things and that type of thing. And I put forth the idea of like home security falcons or things like that.
Nah, that's not going to work.
Well, I don't. Why not? Why?
That's not going to work because of all of your raptors. They're meat eaters and they're very hyperactive, so you can't just kind of like leave them in the house.
No, I'm talking about outside.
Well, outside they're going to bugger off and go chase something.
They're going to go pest control and destroy all your squirrels.
I don't know. If you keep them well fed. I got like an acre, Alan. Maybe.
You do, and you've got plenty of squirrels, but your cat's not that much larger than the squirrel.
Well, what if you teamed up with some neighbors and you got your whole neighborhood to train about 500 falcons, and they guarded your neighborhood and they worked as a team?
You're starting to sound like ancient Mongolia. Where everybody had a bird.
I'm not giving up on this idea because I think that would be a very interesting and eco-friendly home security system.
Well, you let me know how that works out for you.
All right. Well, let's get all the all the things that people can sue us over out of the way.
Yeah,
I just want to make.
I'm going to leave you. You don't. Raptors are, having dealt with raptors, it seems like a good idea, but somehow it just doesn't work.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, that's out there on the table. Or maybe you've got a more reasonable idea for. We've had border collie. We've worked in harmony with animals. No, not just exploiting them. We've worked in partnership with animals. So
half a human civilization is possible because we domesticated dogs.
There you go.
Or they just moved in with us. We're not real sure which happened first.
Exactly. So, well, Alan, I did want to put something out there as well, and it's I got this huge list here. I'm trying to decide which one to throw at you. I have one that probably would get us sued, so I'm not going to read it. But
can I read something off the text line to kind of conclude our discussion about?
We got somebody chiming in. Sure, go ahead.
We got Brew Blaster here.
Who?
Brew Blaster.
Awesome.
Is it BREW?
Yep.
Oh, Brew Blaster. Gee, I wonder if the guy's okay, Brew Blaster. What do you got, man?
They asked, have you seen the video where there are two cats on adjacent roofs and a crow makes them fight each other while he dances around them?
Yes.
Gosh, that sounds horrifying.
Yes.
How does he do that?
Because he keeps teasing them to get closer and closer, and they both go to fighting over him, and he's just hilarious.
It sounds pretty
crows
barbaric,
are great,
man.
Crows are great.
Is that a way to thwart? Because a cat could take out a crow. Is that the way to neutralize the enemy?
You make them fight each other, and that way you get entertained. That's right.
I wonder if crows control our government or something. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now, right? Get everybody fighting each other.
I mean, look at Eric Draven and the crow.
Okay, very good. Brewbuster.
Brew Blaster.
All right, good. That's the kind of stuff we want. And don't forget, we have Knife Day is out on the table. National Knife Day. If you've got a really good knife, I have one I brought in a few weeks ago that I use regularly. But anyway, I wanted to. We were looking. I don't know if I want to transition into this, but let's just. I wanted to put something forward about tables. I think I put in our text preparation yesterday, Alan, that anything can really be a table.
Oh, yes.
And I'm really enjoying the notion of doing things in an unconventional manner, like finding a base. It could be anything. It could be an old wagon. It could be whatever. And you stick a piece of glass on the top and you got yourself a table. I guess I'm wondering, I would love our listeners to tell us, what is the weirdest table you've ever come up with? And
I'm going to throw out, I had a couple of friends that loved those giant utility spools.
Oh,
I've seen fiber
like for
optics
wire
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Those things are about 4 feet across.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, when you're dead broke in your first apartment, one of those and a nice little plywood top on it made a pretty decent table.
Just get the spiders out of the inside and you're good to go. Well, there's spiders on the yeah. Do you paint it first, or do you?
All right, back in those days, you were just happy to roll it into the apartment.
Did you have one of those?
I did not, but I had a friend who definitely did, and we did work on it. We did paint it up eventually. We got we cut out a big plywood circle to go on top of it, and got that sanded down nice. So it was, for a table you were going to abandon at a moment's notice.
Right.
It was a good, sturdy, nice table for a long time.
Now, we had a, back in the day, actually, it's funny, in the bachelor days is when you get all your experimental table.
Yeah.
We had sawhorse tables. I hated that thing. I was constantly kicking my foot on it. Like, I guess it's got to be positioned correctly.
I was also thinking, too, this was kind of exotic. I remember watching a video where there's two or several, tension springs, and somehow that made a table. I do not understand the physics behind it.
Oh, I can post a picture of that. I think what he's talking about is a floating table.
Yeah,
You've
floating
seen
table,
these. If you look on, it takes a minute to figure out why it's staying up,
right.
and then you discover it if you just do a little investigating. But you've probably seen on Facebook or something, somebody posts this magic table where it looks like the chains are basically floating in air and suspending it. That's a cool table. I wonder how much it sways, though. I was going to make one just but you could probably use rope, too. I mean, it doesn't have to be
Well, it just depends upon the stiffness of the actual support.
Right.
You've hidden the support, but it needs to be, stiff. It's the same basic idea as the floating statues.
Wait, what are floating?
All right, floating statues is kind of a European thing, a theme park kind of thing. So you walk by and there's a cowboy bronzed statue, but it's like up off the ground, or maybe only the heel is touching the ground.
Oh,
well, what it is actually a framework that the actor is covering up with their body.
Right.
And then, when you least expect it, of course, the living statue moves or something and freaks out the audience and has a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, those clever kind of tables, my beef with those is all the weight is usually on these one or two little points. And if it fails, your table's collapsing. So,
if you've got a rowdy dog, it's coming down.
Yeah.
But they're a lot of fun. It's kind of like the first time I saw the floating faucet head.
Wait, I don't think I've seen that one.
You've never seen a floating faucet head?
I'm trying to think.
That is one of the old Ripley's magic tricks where they put a clear acrylic pole that
I've seen
puts
that.
the water up, and that's coming up the center of the water stream coming down, so that it looks like you have a faucet running water out of the air.
I thought you were talking about an actual working faucet. Yeah, I've seen that, like with epoxy.
Well, it's the same basic idea. You're just hiding the support.
Okay. I was going to say cinder blocks are always a good one, but rough on, but actually cinder blocks I would say were some of the more practical tables we had, because you could stick like the remote control in one of the openings.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Milk cartons. Oh my gosh. If there's not a college student alive or a college dorm that doesn't have a few thousand milk cartons in it.
Yeah. Do you have something, Max?
How about Lego?
Yeah, if you want to spend $5,000 on a tape, how many Legos would you need to make a structural coffee table? Could you do that, Max?
It would be sturdy. It would be sturdy. It would not fall apart, that's for sure.
I don't think I'd do that. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a poor bachelor.
No,
that sounds like
that's a I'm bored later. Look at how fancy I made something.
But I've seen tables made out of, here's the other thing. Sometimes we have this feeling that a table has to be a perfectly flat, smooth surface.
Mm-hmm.
You can I've seen doors that make a cool dining room table. There's nothing written in stone that you have to have a perfectly flat.
Well, the Beverly Hillbillies forever used the billiards table.
Did they? Is that where they ate?
On the TV show.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they would use the cue sticks to pass the vegetables up and down the table.
As they eat their venison.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we got all these weird topics on the table, but so we'd love for you to get in touch with us, like we said, at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. When we come back, we're going to find out what Alan did this week.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Gonna paint your wagon, gonna paint it fine. Gonna use oil-based paint, cause the wood is pine.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Gonna do this rejoin too, because I like the trigger, Joe.
Yeah, okay. Once again, public service announcement. Just because you're using pine doesn't mean you have to use oil base, especially for a wagon that's going to be on the outside, Max. But
It's gonna hold.
I digress. And welcome back to Tool Talk
They
Radio.
were cowboys. They didn't know any better.
That's all they had back then. They were drinking turpentine in those days. So, well, if you're out on the trail, Alan, that's all you got, man. You need a shot. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to check out the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the action going on over there. We've got I guess we've had some action on the text line, Max, and we've got a caller standing by. So I'm going to be interested in hearing what they have to say. But before we get to that, I just want to discuss our good buddy Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration. So, as we've said, Alan, the relationship you have with your HVAC company is a relationship. It isn't a one-off purchase that you say, "Hey, thanks for this. I'll see you in 20 years when I need another one." It's really an ongoing. It's just like your vehicle. You need ongoing maintenance, and it's not that grueling. It's just basically preventative maintenance. But you want a fully functioning and high-tech HVAC system, and that's what Brown Refrigeration provides. They work with Trane systems. They work with the Remy Halo system, which provides the cleanest air possible. And boy, if you live here in the Mid-South, and if you're ever looking outside in your living room when the sun's beating in and you see all those little floating particulates, you want to get rid of that stuff. But there's nobody better than Brown Refrigeration. They, for one thing, they've been around we're getting close to the 50-year anniversary of Brown Refrigeration. They have a rock-solid business culture. And they are all about, they want your HVAC system to function as long as possible. That's why bring them out there for a visit once or twice a year. They can look over your system. They can give you advice, too, if there's some issues that you need to start paying attention to. And, of course, they can update you with the latest technology. And a well-functioning HVAC system more or less pays for itself over the years. They also have great financing, and they answer their phones. We love Brown Refrigeration, great business culture, and great technicians. You can call them directly at 901-362-1881 or go to their website, brownref.com. All right, Max, you said, you said Angel texted something in, right? No surprise, but it's National Knife Day. We knew she'd chime in.
Well, not only that, too, but we also got Brew Blaster texting in with a pic of his nice knife.
Okay.
It's an old Ford tractor knife that his uncle gave him.
Oh, okay. What is it? A Ford tractor knife? I don't know what that is.
It's a knife, like a folding knife with a thicker blade, and it has a Ford tractor on it.
Oh, it's like it was a promo item that Ford tractor made for your, okay.
From Franklin Mint.
I wonder how old that baby is and how much it's worth. Knives are a funny thing, Alan. If you go to one of these knife shows, you're looking at one and it's like, it says $10,000. And I'm like, why is that thing worth $10,000? Or,
I personally think it's pretty cool. I learned about this the other day, that King Tutankhamun's dagger was made out of a meteoric iron. So it was extraterrestrial.
Now I bet you there's
Space Blade.
That's cool, man. So, okay. So Brew Blaster, thanks for sending that in. We'll see if we can get a picture and post that. And then what did Angel have to say?
Just my cool knife collection. And it was just cool knives in her collection.
Is it knives or is it a pirate? She's part of that pirate club, Alan, you hang out with.
I do, and it is all of her different pirate blades.
Are these actual functioning?
Oh, yes. They're you can poke a hole in something.
Fair warning, folks. If you go to a convention and you see somebody dressed like a medieval, hobbit or something, or if you see somebody in a pirate outfit, don't ever mess with them. They know how to take care of themselves.
They do.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's the stuff we're looking for on the text line. And you said somebody's standing by on the
yes,
on
sir.
The phone
we got
line.
John on the line.
John, how's it going today, man?
I'm doing great. How about y'all?
Real good, man. We have a lot on the table, so we were wondering what you were chiming in on, man.
Yes, sir. Y'all were talking about different people making things out of making tables out of things.
Oh yeah. Are you a creative table producer?
Well, I'm not myself, but my uncle is a phenomenal woodworker, and he has made tables like y'all were talking about the utility spools.
Mm-hmm.
He took one and sanded it down and took a hose saw and drilled a bunch of holes in it, made like cup holders, and carpeted it, and awesome. It looked real good. And he made a poker table out of it.
That's what, when you said that, I'm like, wait a minute. It didn't even occur to me until you started this. I'm like, wait, that sounds like a poker table, man.
That's
the
awesome.
perfect size. Now, height wise, you gotta elevate it, right, John? Did it have legs?
Well,
on
this
it?
one, it was actually one of the largest ones.
Oh, nice.
So so he really didn't have to do nothing except for, like I say, drill the holes in it and put that fabric over it,
Now,
it turned out great.
Was he married?
He is.
I'm wondering
He's
where
actually my uncle by marriage.
Okay, where did the wife let him put this? Is this a garage keep, or is she letting him put this in the dining room or something?
Well, actually, he made it in the shop, and he has a man cave room, so that's what he put it in.
Everybody needs one of those, man. That's awesome.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And he actually made another one. He had an old tree out back in his backyard, and he had to cut it down. And it had a perfect U shape. One of the branches grew in a U shape.
Oh, wow.
And he took that and made the middle of the table and took 2 pieces of wood, thick wood, and made a smaller one for the base and one for the top of the table.
Oh.
And sanded it down and stained it and put that acrylic on it. And it was phenomenal, turned out.
What's your uncle's name? That sounds like
his name is Dave.
Dave. It sounds like the guy was did he have like a lot of property or something? It sounds like I picture a farmer or something, but
no, sir. Actually, he's from Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And he married my aunt and moved down here to Mississippi.
That's awesome. That I love the fact that he saw the tree and had the vision.
That's what I was.
Yes, sir.
I see. I
he
see a
is
table
real
right here.
smart about that.
John, I don't know if you heard our show a few weeks ago. We were talking about the Bauhaus, which is this. It was this art school in Germany back in like the 1920s, and they were all about combining artists and like carpenters and welders and craftsmen together, because they were pointing out a carpenter is an artist, and it sounds like your uncle is a full-on artist. I mean, he had the ability to look at a tree, Yeah,
just about any woodwork, he can look at it and come out with something.
Wow. I'd love to see some pictures, man. I'm picturing the poker table, too, but I like that. So the curved table, is this a coffee table or a dining room table?
Yes, sir. Actually, it's a coffee table, and he has it sitting in his living room area.
Oh, that's
at
amazing.
the coffee table. And he actually got offered money from it for it, and he turned it down because he said that was a 1 in a million, table that he probably would never find another, tree to make a table out of that like he did.
Well, once you put your heart and soul into something like that, and I like these too because there's a story behind it, like that.
Oh yes, sir. He said it's priceless, so he probably would never, part with it.
Oh man, that's awesome. See, that's what we're all about, man. I love stuff. It sounds like it had like the live edge on there. I bet you he left a lot of the elements of the original. This is something that would never be painted. You're going to stain this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what he did. He put a good stain on it, and it turned out great.
Well, John, we appreciate that. That's the kind of stories we like. But man, it would be great to see some pictures of this. If you could ever get your uncle to, if you can, we'll post them up on our Facebook page, man. So.
All right, I will try to get that to you.
Okay, but John, thanks for chiming in, and be sure to call back, man. It was great talking to you.
Yes, sir. Same to y'all. Y'all have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks. See, man, I love that. I like the notion you're sitting out there looking at a tree or a tree limb that you're just going to chop down, and suddenly you're envisioning. It kind of reminds me of Michelangelo when he would look at a slab of marble and see a statue inside of it or something.
Oh, it takes a special person to look at that. There was a facility outside of Fairhope, Alabama, that had a huge piece of driftwood had washed up in Mobile Bay, and one of the local craftsmen down there turned it, and it's just the driftwood. This is just a massive tree, the roots and all that stuff that had come down a river, wound up in the bay. And what they did was they shaped it, just kind of cut it off so it was all nice and level, and benched it.
Oh.
So they just kind of basically cut a V out of it.
Right.
So that it made a park bench. And they just
put it there.
Shellacked the heck out of it. And they have it in front of their store.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing is like a good 8 feet long.
You
utterly unique.
You made me think of something, folks. If you're sort of new to the Mid-South, or maybe it's never occurred to you to do this, if you go down to the Mississippi River, especially after the river's been real high and then it goes back down, man, you find some of the coolest limbs and branches to make, walking sticks or a tape, anything. That wood takes on a bleached kind of smooth texture, and it's really neat.
It's been tumbled and sanded. And
Right.
Just it's driftwood has just a particular look to it.
It's
That's just
you
amazing.
can't repeat it. You know,
Yeah,
I
it's just
took
amazing.
one. My son had a friend, and she. Well, I'll tell you about that when we come back, and then I'll tell you that, and then hopefully when we come back, we're going to find out what Alan did. But pretty dynamic show today. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Call Poison Control if you're bit by a spider. But check that it's covered by your healthcare provider.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Especially if John, if his uncle doesn't clear the spiders out of his spool table.
Yeah, those spool tables are always loaded with spiders. So good, not bad advice. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989, like folks have been doing today. We just had a nice conversation with John. I like his uncle. I want to meet this Uncle Dave. He sounds like an artist and a craftsman and a Renaissance man. He doesn't overlook the everyday objects like a tree limb or a big wire spool. He's going to make that into something. So, and also today is National Knife Day. So if you've got some pretty cool knives, we do need to get to posting some of these pictures, Max. We'll probably do that maybe at the bottom of the hour break. But anyway, send those in and let us know. I know Max has he's very proud of his, you've got a custom knife that you ordered.
It's a perfect concealed carry blade, yes.
Yeah. So, and, let's face it, everybody somehow needs a knife, around the house or whatever. But, so all of that's out on the table. And also I was hoping somebody would take my cue on I don't care, Alan. I like the idea of training falcons for home security. I want to get about 100 falcons in our neighborhood, all trained so that if an invader starts messing with somebody's car or trying to get in, the falcons swarm, incapacitate them. And
you're also the guy that wanted to make ants move to the back fence.
Well, why can't we work in harmony with the animal kingdom? But all right, but anyway, let's find out what Alan did this week.
Oh, the humanity. That's working in harmony with animals.
Yeah.
Thank you, goat.
I like to think you do. Alan works in harmony to the degree that they come to him and he cooks them, basically. But anyway,
They don't go to waste.
no. All right, but what did you do this week? It sounded, looked like you were
We're
pretty
going to
busy,
start
man.
with the pocket door.
Okay. Ooh, pocket doors.
Oh,
Not as easy as they look.
Oh, my gosh.
Especially after the fact.
Well, and I drove everybody crazy for a day because I wanted to make sure absolutely positively over the next 40 years, this pocket door does not hang up on something inside that wall.
Yeah, well, bingo.
Yeah, that is-
we've told the story of there was a pocket door that somebody decided that was the other side of the wall was a perfect place to hang their family portrait, and they drove a nail right through
Put that big
the
old
sheetrock
screw
and the
or
door.
nail
So,
right
yeah.
through it. And,
Yeah.
all right, well, a pocket door, for those that don't know what we're talking about, this is the door in the wall.
Right.
It's got a little latch on it. You grab it, you pull it out of the wall. Well, the whole idea is that wall has to be custom designed to hold the pocket door.
Right.
You don't just pick a wall and here we go. Because you're going to be off your centers. First off, you're not going to have 16-inch centers here because this wall is a non-load bearing, basically decorative wall built. The whole idea is to support the pocket door.
Right.
And the pocket door is essentially a frame with a track in the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to throw in, take your time and balance that door.
Boom. Because the first thing, it seemed, doors, we've talked about it in the past. It looks so easy. It's like there's 3 hinges. I screw these hinges in. I put a doorknob on and I'm done. Doors are, man, you talk about finesse and you're assuming that the house is level, which it never is.
Which
You're
it never
assuming,
is.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, all of the problems of a door, and now we're going to balance it on basically 2 points of connection at the top.
Right.
And now that has to slide smoothly in and out of that frame for the next 40 years.
Wait,
So
are you sticking this in an existing construction? This isn't a new construction.
this was happily a new construction.
So you gutted this down to the
So
studs.
this wall did not pre-exist and was actually custom built
Okay,
to
good.
be the pocket doors.
Right. Okay, good.
So there is no way to retrofit a pocket door. You're
Well, if
tearing
you
a wall
gut
down.
everything
No,
out,
you're
yeah.
tearing the wall down.
Right.
It's kind of like when I was a kid, and you'd always hear somebody say, "Well, we're going to move this wall a foot." And I was thinking, man, how do you move a wall? That has got to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
And then as a teenager, the first time I saw somebody, quote unquote, move a wall, I was so disappointed
Yeah.
because they just built a new wall and tore the old one down.
Yeah.
And I said, you didn't move it, you just built a new one.
Right.
So pocket doors, you're going to build a new one. The biggest thing, and again, I apologize to everybody that had to work for me, this week on this job, was that, it was, all right, slide it again. Slide it again. I didn't want to hear the slightest hiccup, tink, twist, nothing. And
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody would have given up, 2 hours before I did.
Right.
But I finally got that door fine-tuned to where you could just touch it and that thing would slide. So I am very confident whoever ends up buying this house for the next 30, 40 years, as long as they don't do anything stupid in there, that pocket door is going to work absolutely perfectly. But man, we wiggled and shimmed and wiggled because I wanted it to actually be true bubble.
I want to say something about pocket doors because you kind of triggered me a little bit, Alan,
Okay,
because
go for
there seems, I don't know if it seemed like pocket doors were kind of a big thing in the 80s, as I recall. Whenever they were designing homes with a lot of, okay, there's a door here, there's a door here. We
Right.
got 5 doors in our dining room, that type of thing.
Right.
And one of the main things you see with a pocket door is like you open it and there's a big scratched line at the bottom, or it's dirty, or it vibrates when you open it and stuff. It's like the pocket door is about more than just the door itself. It's the rail. If that rail's got debris and sawdust particles and or if there's a little bit of if you on the woodwork, on the trim, the door trim, if there's a tiny protrusion of even a nail head or
Right.
whatever, and so you really got it's better to kind of take the whole door off, shine it in there, and I would even say take a vacuum and just get it as clean and trouble free before you, because like you said, you were probably thinking, okay, well, yeah, it's great that the pocket door opens today, but if it sticks or if it whatever, in 3 or 4 months, it's going to start coming off the rail, or it's going to get jammed.
The other thing I did was I got myself a little piece of sheet metal and covered, before we put the sheetrock up, and covered the actual important parts of the pocket door
There
mechanisms.
you go. Boom,
That way,
to protect
you
them.
can't get a nail or a screw into it.
Right.
So we just put this little sheet up there, a little protector, just like you would put over a pipe or a wire. Those little metal covers just to keep somebody putting a screw in it later.
Yeah.
So if somebody gets creative later in this closet and decides, well, I'm going to hang something right here, they are going to cuss me.
Yeah.
Because I am going to keep that pocket door working. So that was the big topic. The other
Sorry,
one,
but you made me.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, no, but I'm just gonna say, because Alan, this is exactly the stuff we preach. If somebody shows up at your house and they, maybe they're gonna do some carpentry work or they're gonna whatever, and you're like, I can't believe they built a deck in 2 days, and I'm so, gosh, this company is great. I don't thank somebody because they're fast. Fast does not equal quality. I'm sorry, Alan, and it's like that little extra effort you put to make sure that this thing's gonna function smooth. I don't apologize for being slow. I'm sorry, I'm a slow carpenter, but when it's done, and that's what you want.
but it's done and it stays done.
I don't want to be called back in 5. I don't want to be called back in 20 years.
Yeah.
I want it to be done, and I'm done with it. But
Now, I did get to actually finish up one of my dream jobs. And this is one of these things I've just always wanted to do because I'm always called in when the wall falls off the shower.
Right.
There's always a disaster. There's water. There's mold. There's,
You're called after the tragedy.
The squirrel ate the 2x4s. That's actually a true story. I usually get called into those. And this one, it's a fresh install. And we actually built the entire deluxe shower out of concrete board.
You built it out of that?
We built the entire deluxe shower out of concrete board.
You're talking about the backer board.
I'm talking about good old backer board, yes. And so I was excited about this because even sheetrock, kind of has a little give to it.
Yeah.
It'll bend a little bit. And, of course, with age and weight, sheetrock will eventually fatigue. And the good thing about concrete board is it doesn't really expand or contract.
Okay. I'm intrigued. So, all right, we're going to wrap up and find out exactly what went into this concrete shower, but we'll do it after the break. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to head over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the posts we've made over there. If you're just tuning in, Alan had me a little flummoxed before the break. He likes to do this. I think he does it on purpose. I think Alan is a very sadistic man, actually, in his own way. Before the break, we were asking what Alan was doing this week in Alan's Week in Review, and you said, well, I built a bathroom out of backer board. And I said, and my thought was, oh, okay, well, I'm guessing, you did something beyond that. And you made it sound like that's all you did, but
No, we're still working on it, but
you're going to tile it, right?
Oh yes, we're going to do a finish out on it. But the cool thing was
I was going to say,
the entire deluxe shower bay. There's no sheetrock in it.
Okay.
So there's no weak point anywhere in this shower bay now. It is completely concrete board.
Because what you want is you don't want to rely on the tile and that little bead of grout to be the only thing keeping water from the shower and then getting into the studs and the floor and everything else. So considering,
considering the age of the buildings I normally work with, you didn't have concrete board 40 years ago. You know? So as well, you and I've replaced how much outside siding made out of that press board. The miracle particle board of the 70s is the deteriorating sawdust of the 2000s. And we're out there putting concrete board, a hardy board, up on the outside of the house, which is now going to last 60, 70 years, not 20 or 30.
Right.
So, I've always wanted to really do a bathroom with no sheetrock in it. Actually,
so you weren't, so everything's getting tiled, everything's
going to get tiled, but behind, what I was really excited about was the actual shower wall is now, 2x4 reinforced, and it's concrete board. There's no give. There's not going to be any cracked grout. There's not going to be any popped loose parts here.
I assume it's sealed, too, with a sealant on the edges.
We're going to go back and caulk up any of the little edges and stuff. And then we're going to, and then, of course, just like as if it were sheetrock, we're going to put down the adhesive. You're going to put, and you're going to tile and grout. And what I'm looking forward to is even if there's a pinhole leak in this, in this whole great big huge shower, there's one tiny pinhole leak, that water can only go back to concrete.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm very excited about this project.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think bathroom remodels and kitchen probably are the same, but mostly bathrooms. It's to me, it's less work to just take it down to the studs. Don't try to piecemeal it. Just gut the thing and do it correctly. Because water, as we've said in the past, water is always going to win. And
water will always find a way.
Yeah. All right. Well, boy, we got a lot to get to this hour. So I know, Max, you've been chomping at the bit to share something with us. So let's go ahead, man.
And now, a deep cut with Maximilian.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotta get my fruit ninja out of the way.
Exactly. Your soundbite seems apropos for what you want to discuss. So
I mean, it is the season, I suppose.
Okay.
Well, today I wanted to talk about the gold standard, or rather the history of the gold standard of the knife industry. And it is the Swiss Army knife from our good old buddies at what I'm trying to think of how to Victorinox.
Victorinox. Okay.
Victorinox.
They make the
Victorinox,
Swiss
there we
Army
go.
knife?
They are the exclusive provider of the Swiss Army knife as of recently. They used to be in a competing company called Wenger, but now it's since merged, and Victorinox has acquired it back in 2005.
Okay.
But the history of the knife, Swiss Army knife, actually goes back to another country, Germany. And you know why?
Okay.
Well, back in the day...
Wait, how far back?
1880s.
So, okay. I'm going to have a lot of questions, but go ahead, Max.
So back in the 1880s, the Swiss military was looking for a proper tool or a proper knife in order to distribute to their soldiers. And one of the intended uses was to help manage and disassemble their M1889 Swiss service rifle, which was a bolt-action rifle that required a screwdriver for assembly, or, like if they need open canned food or whatever, just for anything for the good Swiss soldier on the go. And so they commissioned a German knife manufacturer called Wester & Co. to distribute the knives to them at first. Well, they were kind of dissatisfied with it because back in the day, the knives only operated, all the tools were on a single side, which, big deal. But back in the day, back in 1891, a man by the name of Karl Elsner, who was a manufacturer of surgical equipment, wanted to source his knives strictly in Switzerland. And so that's how we get the Swiss Army knife. He perfected the spring mechanism that actually allowed you to have tools on both sides, thus allowing you to have twice as many more tools. Although, fun fact, though, the corkscrew didn't come till a little later because the corkscrew design was actually designed in Japan.
What? Okay.
The tool itself was actually designed in Japan.
But they wanted something portable. You stick in your pocket like a Batman utility kind of tool or something like that. But, I mean, my Swiss Army knife has two knives. It's got a saw. It's got a corkscrew. It's got a can opener. It's got a screwdriver. It's got scissors. It's it's small. You could fit the thing in your front pocket, no problem. So I'll give them that. And they still work, right? I mean, that's
exactly. You could probably still use one from 1890 and everything, and it would still work.
Yeah.
But here's a kind of a heartfelt story about why it was called Victorinox.
Okay.
The name, Elsner got the name from his late mother who passed away, and to honor her, he originally named it after, her name was Victoria. He originally just named it Victoria, and then eventually they found a perfect stainless steel from France, and the name was an abbreviation of inox, which was short for the French term acier inoxydable. My French ain't too good, but
no.
And then so it's a perfect portmanteau of Victoria and Inox, or Victorinox as we know it today.
Okay. All right. So back to the 1800s, and I will say they make good knives.
And they, what's kind of cool too, they do make cool knives as well. But what I like about the Swiss people, just as a nation in general, is when you reach a certain age as a man, you are required to either do a certain amount of time as a civil servant or a time in the military. And one of the first things they give you is a really nice Swiss Army knife.
Huh. I wonder what our country would be like if we had that, Alan.
Man,
I don't know. Kind of part of me sort of likes that notion, but
kind of
anyway.
makes me think of like Gal Gadot.
Yeah, you can do that when you're small.
I guess so. So, but all right, Max, very good. That was a very succinct and well researched deep cut with Max. So, okay, Alan, we got a lot to get to, man. So, why don't we get to our must have item of the week, because I don't want to forget this one, and this is a really good one. So, The cameras aren't on, so I'm not gonna hold it up
don't
to the
pick that up
camera.
over your head.
But
We
this
gotta-
is one Alan brought in, and I am getting this one, Alan.
You got a
So
little jealousy going on there?
Well, I've never seen one this compact, but I guess tell people
All
what,
right.
what
Well,
we're
that
looking at.
is your collapsible hand truck.
Okay, a dolly.
It's a dolly. It is the hand truck style, so it has the front bib, and it has the rear wheels, and it has a collapsible extended handle. And the cool thing is they've gotten so good with the design of these, they'll handle quite a bit of weight.
I was wondering what you could move with this bad boy. You probably can't move a refrigerator.
You're not going to get a refrigerator on it, but I will tell you, you can get at least about 80 pounds of books on it.
This
Because
thing-
I've done it. So-
This looks like a must-have tool for a lot of our friends that set up at conventions where
Oh, my
you've got a
gosh.
very small booth and you've got a lot of things to roll in there. You might have to roll halfway across a parking lot and up a service elevator. And this thing, it's only about 2 feet tall. It looks like it collapses to about 3 inches wide. It's real. I mean, it's real. You could slide this under the front seat of your Toyota
yes.
if you're some struggling artist or something. But,
Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing I like on job sites is you perpetually wind up having to move something.
yeah.
And the one thing I've noticed is like if a piece of furniture has sat somewhere too long, it has imprinted either into the wax on the floor or it is imprinted into the depth of the carpet. So
yeah.
getting it to start moving, a lot of times I will use that to just get it up under the edge and kind of pop it loose.
Right.
So that you can get under it and lift it and move it or slide it. So the collapsible portable dolly, there's several different brands out there. They sell them at all the big box stores. You do have to look for them. They're going to be back there by the other dollies, but they're going to be off to the side in a small box somewhere. So you are going to have to look.
Where are they going to be? Are they going to be by the moving boxes?
Yeah, they're going to be
'cause I
by
wonder.
the moving boxes and the dollies and stuff, depending upon which one you go to. But they're not horribly obvious. But once you play with it, now when you look at it originally, it kind of looks like a toy.
It does, but this thing is,
It's pretty awesome.
yeah. Playtime's over though when you have one of these things. So okay, the must-have item of the week: a collapsible dolly. This is going to be good, Alan. When we come back in our great moments in building history, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Hershey Factory chocolate company. Whatever.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Salt water will warp the wood, so keep your tears in your eyes where they belong.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I think all water will warp the wood, Alan. In fact, I would even argue that salt water might have healing properties that maybe it's more beneficial than regular water. That's a scientific question we'll have to unpack in the future. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Doris Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Several people have done that this morning, and we had a nice phone call with John telling us about Uncle Dave, and I really want to see some pictures, John, if you can get us some of these tables and some of these unique constructions that Uncle Dave made. It sounds like he's a man right after our own heart. So, but Alan, we've been talking about this all morning, so let's get to it, Max.
And now, great moments in building history.
Alan, did you even have to open up the internet for that? I mean, this in our great moments in building history, we're talking about the Hershey Chocolate Factory, established really, I guess it was the very, very late 1800s, or was it 1906? It's right at the end of the...
You're about 1900 or so, because you got to talk about the Lannister Caramel Company first.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we're going to talk about old Mr. Hershey here.
We're talking about a cutthroat era in food. I mean, back in the day, these food developers and
Like the
food
war on breakfast.
I mean, it was insane how ruthless these people were, but
much
competitive, you could say.
Well, much like today, there's a lot of ego.
Oh, and everyone's named. Everything's named after them.
We're still using a Phillips screw.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah. Everybody named everything after themselves.
Who was Milton Hershey? Milton Hershey was a driven young man. By the time he was 26, he'd tanked a couple of businesses already and was, striving for another one.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit on two different ideas. He went with a little burnt sugar, and he went with cacao beans.
Cacao beans, okay.
Because chocolate was a European thing and was expensive.
Right.
And real chocolate is actually kind of bitter. So he's
like dark chocolate's bitter, so is that more what they were doing back in the day?
Yeah, and it's also pretty much all chocolate. So it's expensive.
Yeah.
So trying to find his way in the world, you basically pick the high road or the low road. The high road is you're going to make a few things that cost a lot, or you're going to, in the Henry Ford model, you're going to make a lot of stuff that cost a little.
That you're either going to market to the rich or market to the masses.
And there's a whole lot more masses than there is rich.
Right.
So Hershey comes up with a couple of ideas, and he really kind of gets to selling caramel pretty good. And caramel, however you want to say it, I flip back and forth, was his first attempt at a factory.
Okay.
So he had a pre-existing building and had to kind of make things fit. Well, he kind of got that going, and believe it or not, in 1900, he sold that bad boy for $1 million.
And what would that be worth? That's what, $20 million today's
He's
money
doing
or
good.
something. Yeah.
Now, we get to back up because we love talking about the World's Fairs.
Oh, yeah.
And
especially the Chicago.
In 1893, the Columbian Exposition, our favorite one.
Right.
Hershey went just about bankrupt because he saw cooking equipment at a display and bought it.
Oh, he bought it there. He bought it from the exhibitors.
He purchased this stuff and just went, okay, if I can just figure out how to get a filler into chocolate, I could sell chocolate for less.
Was it to make chocolate taste better or to make it cheaper to produce or
Well,
both?
the whole idea is, if you're going to beat your competition, you either got to beat them in quality or beat them in price.
Okay.
So, and keep in mind, in the food world, especially this time, you've got the Kellogg's, you've got Post, you've got Clarence Birdseye, you got everybody is in this massive race because our dear buddy, Mr. Saunders over here at Piggly Wiggly was now letting customers pick products.
Yeah, the games are changing,
so you
man.
kind of think about it, Heinz, everybody we can think of, Reese's, everybody came out of this era. So here's all this going on. And the one thing he really learned was form and function.
Yeah, you'd have to have that with this much production, man.
Nobody had ever made this particular product. So he discovered now this is hats off to him. He put in the work.
No, he was hardworking, and he really had a
He
passion
put in
for
the
this.
work.
Yep.
And he figured out a way of adding boiled milk to the chocolate recipes. And that meant you got more chocolate for less investment. So a little boiled milk, some sugar, sweeten it up, and the cacao beans. And he came up with Hershey's milk chocolate.
Right.
It melted kind of easier. It was cheaper. It was much more approachable to an American audience. And the rest, as we will love to say, is history. Because about the time he and his company invented the Hershey's Kiss, which is about 100 years old now.
Yeah.
He was totally, the chocolate guy.
No, when you think of it, you think of Hershey's. That's,
But what happened, though, is in his success, because of his earlier experiences using other people's buildings, he understood that even the building was a limitation.
Okay, yeah.
So now it is, okay, I got to bring in this much milk. And by this much milk, I mean tanker loads of milk. So how do I get those into the building?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's build a bay specifically designed for the tankers. And how are we going to run the pipes? How are we going to use gravity to our advantage? How are we going to? And this functionality began to design, and he was really building one of the most modern factories ever. And he chose Hersey, Pennsylvania, because, well, he could afford it.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody else there. He could get the land he needed. But then he ran into a second problem.
Wait. I thought Hersey, Pennsylvania is named after him.
Well,
he bought the area, right? Or
well,
because what are the odds that Hersey would move to Hersey, Pennsylvania? So,
well, yeah, Hersey, Pennsylvania was a pre-existing city, and it had been around since about 1690.
Oh, maybe Hersey was a common name or something. So,
well, keep in mind, this is all part of William Penn's big area and all that. So this area wasn't just a spot on the map he just picked.
Okay.
So there was infrastructure there. There was most importantly, there was water.
You need water to sanitize.
And so he went out there and bought this farmland outside of Lancaster, he was born in Derry.
Okay.
So he's from this area. So it's not like Hersey went walking around and went, I'm going to put a pin in a map and just find a spot.
Yeah, he was very familiar.
So he found it, and he gets there, and he basically builds the company town of Hersey, Pennsylvania. But the area was existing.
Okay, I got you.
And the reason he really wanted it was kind of big with cows. So here's the farmland.
It's a cow infrastructure there.
Well, all right, but think about it. How much does it cost to ship stuff?
Yeah.
And you got to ship a liquid. He needs milk.
You got local cows ready to roll, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He needs milk, and he needs a lot of it. So here we go. He's right there. He's got lots of dairy farmers around him. He can import the cacao beans. He's now got production ready to go. So now the problem is you're out in the middle of cows.
Yeah.
And we don't have robots and AI, and we don't have the internet, and he's barely got electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need people.
Right.
And the bigger the company gets, the more people you need. Yeah. So out of just sheer necessity, we got to start building houses.
Yeah, because it's more or less he's creating like a town. We've heard of these coal mining towns and things, which aren't necessarily always a great thing. Sometimes it's kind of almost like
Makes me think of like one of those like utopia villages that they tried to create back in the 1800s.
Well, he wanted something like that, Max. He had very he had very sincere motives. He thought he was going to create a lot of jobs and a great lifestyle for people, but at the same time, sometimes you can, it's not a good situation for the workers. Let's just put it that way.
He had three crazy ideas that he actually wanted in the homes.
Yeah.
And you got to keep in mind, this is like 1903, 1905.
Pre-OSHA.
It's definitely pre-OSHA. But he had this weird idea that, if you're going to work in this modern factory, you might want some of this stuff at home. So for a house built in 1905, he wanted to include, embrace yourself for this, it's kind of radical, he wanted to include electricity, indoor plumbing, and some type of central heating system.
Yeah, that's pretty cool for back in those days.
This is 1905. This is some really innovative thinking. He also experimented with putting in a trolley system to get his workers to and from their homes to work.
Right.
Now there are labor challenges, and there are a lot of conflicts over pricing and that type of stuff, like anybody else. But Hersey built a city.
He did, but monopolies, Alan, aren't a great thing, and
not always.
That plays a role in some of this. But we're going to continue the conversation all about the Hersey factory when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
I live by the quarry. We should hang out by the quarry and throw things down there.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Sounds like one of Milton Hershey's friends.
I just did that the other day. I've thrown enough things in the quarry. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We've got a couple texters on the line. If you're there waiting for us to reply, stand by. We're going to get to that shortly. We're just we're going to continue our conversation with our great moments in building history, though. So before we do that, though, Alan, I want to talk about our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. You know, Jay is he really he's all about the exterior protection of your home. But as we were talking about last week when we were visiting with Jay, well, you know, the exterior protection of your home also kind of creeps into the inside of your home. Sometimes what happens on the outside affects the inside, which is why Jay's also very qualified in interior remodeling. He's not really interested in kitchen or bathroom remodels. He's more about, you know, if you need to redo your living room, if you have to move the wall, Alan, or remove a wall and put it somewhere else, or lots of that type of woodwork and decorative work. But also, we really lean heavily because he's really a specialist in the outside protection of your home, and from roofing to siding to gutters to windows. He's really, and as he pointed out, gutters are a very affordable thing, and in some homes, it's really a necessity. So, and gutters have to be. You don't let Chuck in his truck put your gutters up. Oh
goodness, no.
Gutters require. They look simple as they can be, but they're not. They have to be very precisely made, and Jay Hill, they can fabricate the gutters for you on the spot with no seams at all in the middle. So, but we always love to talk about his roofing expertise because Jay is always 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau. He's a GAF Master Elite Installer, which you got to be certified to do that. You've got to get all of his installers have to be trained. Because they're putting in roofing systems, and these roofing systems are so efficient and so well made that they offer lifetime transferable warranties, which is a really great selling point. If you put one of Jay Hill's roofs on your home, that warranty transfers to the next owner. Tell me, I mean, Alan, you and I both have brand new, beautiful roofs from Jay Hill. That's a real selling feature if we ever wanted to do that.
Absolutely.
They also have great financing. And Jay, one of the things that sets Jay apart is the fact that he's a former insurance agent, which is very helpful because if you have any damage to your home that may be covered by your homeowner's insurance, Jay should be the first person you call because he can be your advocate in that situation. It's a very tricky situation to navigate. His consultation is free, too. You get all of this expertise with a free consultation, so there's no reason not to call. And Jay's just brings a lot of energy and optimism to every project he's a part of. We love Jay Hill. He's our roofer, and he wants you to call him directly. So get in touch with Jay at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. Well, Alan, before the break, we were talking about the Hersey Chocolate Factory, which, as you pointed out, boy, this was that era when everything was happening. Right at the end of the 1800s, there was a lot of developments in the way we produce food. It was becoming more like mass production, you could say, but the quality and everything. And Mr. Hersey created a factory, and more or less he needed workers, and he created a town. He thought he was doing something very benevolent, creating living quarters for everyone. But what I wanted to I don't know that you touched on this as much, but this is he's making food. This has to be sanitary. This has to there's liquids involved. There's pasteurizing. Well, I'm just saying. There's a lot of things. It's not like us, in our wood shop or building. There's temperatures you got to think about. There's sanitation. And you said he more or less invented these things, right?
Well, he was applying technologies as they came available.
Okay.
So, it's 1896. He's hanging out at the World's Fair. He walks through and sees all these new pressure cookers and kettles and all these wonderful things. Electricity is becoming a thing at this point.
Yeah.
The real kicker, and he's up in Pennsylvania, so it doesn't get all that hot.
Right.
However, they have a kind of, we're in the South. We have an extended summer. Up there, they got cool weather, spring through, winter, fall. They got a little summer in the middle where it got a little bit too warm.
Right.
But as air conditioning became a thing, it's like, hey, wait a minute. We could actually refrigerate and cool our chocolate down faster. And we could make it more shelf stable. And now, of course, the railways are coming. We haven't quite got into motorized trucks yet, but, big thing is you got to get this product out.
Bingo. That's what I was thinking about. I mean, even down to the wrapping that you put it in and everything. It's like it's all well and good. You made your beautiful chocolate bar. You've got it all wrapped up. Well, it's got to get from here to where California or New York or wherever the heck they're shipping this. And there's a lot more technology at work here than maybe we're really thinking about. So,
and the genius of the Hershey company, and we'll start with Mr. Hershey, was grab the technologies that are coming online and adapt them or apply to how you're doing this. Because keep in mind, every chocolate bar, and think about millions of chocolate bars being sold in 1920.
Right.
All right, well, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
In 1910, you didn't have electric wrapping machines. You had Bob.
That's true. You're sitting on the factory floor.
And June. And you had people sitting there, and you didn't have machines that stacked and weighed and all. You had somebody. So the intersection here between technologies making this product possible, because literally this was kind of an impossible product because you had to bring so many pieces together. The paper had to come from somewhere. The kettles had to come from somewhere. The ability to cook at that stage, that level. You weren't running.
I can't imagine how big the pot or the bin was where they were churning out this chocolate.
Well, but then you also had to be able to pour 50 gallons of hot scalding milk at a time. You had to be able to pour. So there was a huge revolution, not just with Hershey, but throughout all of these industries. And one thing that the Hershey company did very, very well was steal from the best, buy the best, innovate, and find ways of adapting it to make their product faster, easier, and safer.
Right.
So, I mean, you really, and one of the huge things, one of the big tourist attractions to Hershey, Pennsylvania, is a factory tour.
Yeah.
And today, we're kind of desensitized to piping stuff and how it gets from point A to point B. We're kind of used to seeing pipes and pumps and stuff like that. But think about it. 124 years ago, these might have been buckets on wheels.
Right.
People trying to get this, and it had to be hot. You couldn't let it cool off. The minute it got hot, you had to start all over. The minute it got cold, you had to start all over again. So, welcome to the hustle and bustle of, can you just imagine the insane pace this had to work at to get hot cocoa, hot cacao ground down and toasted and made into the butter that then had to be mixed with the sugar and the milk and processed and poured and stamped and cut and packaged and ready to ship.
Well,
it's just amazing.
Well, his above all, because, we talked about the cereal wars between Kellogg's and Post. Well, a box of cereal is going to ship a little bit. It's going to be less, it's not as unstable as a bar of chocolate, so it's like, it doesn't necessarily, I guess, have to be refrigerated maybe, but,
Well, those were cold products that were shelf stable.
But yeah, when I think of making chocolate, I'm thinking there's chemistry involved, there's hydraulics involved, there's sanitation. I mean, there's a lot, and so you have to give him credit for that was a pretty bold, back in the day, doing that 120 years ago. That was a pretty revolutionary, and I mean, let's face it, he built a company that we're still using.
We're still talking about him today. Yes.
Yeah. So, but I guess we should just wrap up by saying that the town. The only, I think the biggest beef with the townspeople in Hershey was when you have one place to, one person deciding the prices of groceries, one person deciding, he thought he was doing something very benevolent, but there was a lot of feeling, too, of we're kind of stuck with whatever this guy gives us, even though they had air conditioning. And
it all kind of came to a head in 1937. There was a strike.
Yeah.
They took over the factory for a little bit. There was conflict. Happily for the Hershey Company and the town, they've resolved a lot of that, and the company's moved forward.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's no doubting all of us has anybody not had a Hershey bar or a
s'more or some chocolate milk or, it's. And
I think there's something very beneficial to our society about having having access to chocolate. It makes you feel better. They said so in Harry Potter.
After a Dementor attacked Harry,
it literally does give you a little jolt of it. It just you feel better after you eat some chocolate.
That is a very proven fact.
Yeah, so it's good. It's not good for the waistline, but it's good for your mental and emotional health. So well done, Mr. Hershey, on the Hershey Chocolate Factory. So not a bad one. But, man, we got some text to get to. So and we've got a few other parting thoughts. But, man, the show's flying by today, Alan. But we're going to do that. So texters, stand by. We're going to get to you in just a second. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
You don't skate out of this, Max. There's three of them here.
I am one with the board, and the board is with me.
Okay. And welcome back to Tell Yourself Whatever You Need To. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. It's pretty stacked up, but there is enough time for you to call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And remember, you can send pictures. So I'm not going to recap what we've been talking about today, Alan. If they want to hear what we talked about, they can do that later, right? And they can hear all of our past shows.
They can always podcast us out. All they got to do is go to tooltalkradio.com, and they can follow us along on the wonderful YouTube.
There you go. So, well, Max, you've got the board kind of full, so let's hear what's going on. Who do we got first?
Well, first, we just got another text from Brew Blaster.
Jeez, Brew Blaster's on a roll today. Okay.
Blasting the brews, baby.
All right, we'll leave it to you what order to go in. But
whenever they come back from a break and they say Max behind the glass, makes me think of zoo animals.
And you're not totally off the mark there, Brew
we
Blaster.
totally agree with you.
There needs to be a healthy separation between you and the animals, and we maintain that philosophy here. So very good, very astute observation, Brew Blaster. All right, what do you got?
Norman Rockwell is next.
Okay.
Another great nickname, and an actual name at first. He said he wanted to send us a picture of his latest project, courtesy of his sister for laser engraving and wife for painting it.
Oh.
And I'll read you what it says. Since we're redefining everything, this is a cordless hole puncher, and it's a gun.
Now, how precise of a hole can you get, Alan?
Well,
or is it all about how far you stand back?
That's actually some pretty nice work on the little plaque there. I gotta tell you.
What caliber did they use for this? I wonder.
It looks like an M1911.
Max knows these things somehow. So now, if you're blowing holes in wood, Alan,
it's going to
a
blow
gun,
out the back. You got to use the right kind of, you got to use the right spade bit.
A shotgun, it'll turn it into Swiss cheese, right?
No, that's how you put all those cute holes in your denim.
Okay. Well, in the interest of not getting sued, we are not advocating this technique for drilling holes into wood.
No.
But thanks for the picture. We'll have to post that, Max, when we after the show. But all right, who else do we got?
Third or fourth is Michael Boomerang.
Okay.
It's two things they say. Eddie Bauer had a custom series of Swiss Army knives going back to our National Knife Day discussion.
He did.
And I had a little wallet card from Eddie Bauer, which had a file, a knife, scissors, and a toothpick.
Ooh,
okay,
awesome.
Eddie Bauer, wasn't Eddie Bauer big in the 80s and 90s or something? The Eddie Bauer I associate with premium. Like there was the Eddie Bauer version of some vehicle that had like the leather seats and all the gadgets or something. Is that right, Alan? I really don't know much about Eddie Bauer, but
I think you are correct because Eddie Bauer is the clothing company.
Right. Okay.
And they're about 100 years old. They had a lot of really good gear. They were a little higher end. Yeah.
Okay, so Eddie Bauer was out making or partnering with the Swiss Army Knife Company.
And in
Okay.
the interest of time and everything, I wanted to go ahead and get to the questions.
Yeah, let's get to the question.
The second was his second half of his part was. The second is, what do you put behind and under a prefab shower or tub if you do not have tile wall tub that you are installing it over?
Okay, so in other words, it's going to be a walk-in shower. I'm assuming, is that right, Al? I know there's a liner, and I'm not a tile guy.
Re-ask that question one more time.
He says,
I think I know what it is.
What do you put behind and under a prefab shower or tub if you do not have tile wall tub that you are installing it over?
Okay, I think I happen to know the answer to this, Alan. There's a very robust. It almost looks like a rubber plastic liner that you put under there. You have to be careful, obviously, not to put holes in the wrong spot. But it basically, if it's you put it down and then you let it come up the sides. And you attach it up the stud about, 10 inches or 8 inches. And then
it's that
and
PVC
keep it tight.
shower sheet.
Yeah. And then everything goes on top of that. And that's sort of the fail-safe, especially like if you're on the second floor or something. That's assuming that the tile and the backer board and everything fails. But that's definitely something you want to talk over with your tile professional or something. Yeah, if you're doing it yourself, boy, just make sure. That might even be a code situation, Alan.
Yeah, I think
you gotta have
that the PVC liner, shower liner. I think that's the.
Back in the day, it used to be sheet metal, right? I mean, back before we had all that.
We used to use galvanized steel way back in the day.
I would definitely jump on YouTube for that, but I believe this is a situation you might need to get it inspected before you can close it up. So.
We don't usually give brands, but I think that particular product is made by Odie.
Odie, okay.
Yep, I think that's made by Odie.
All right, you got somebody else?
And then lastly, this is pretty cool. We got a texter in from one of our Sunday reruns, which is pretty great, at 5 a.m. So courtesy to Bill.
Okay.
Bill, thank you. And he says, how do I fix paint that is cracking and peeling in my house?
Well, it's pretty vague, Bill, but is it crack? I'm assuming it's cracking and peeling on the woodwork.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's talking about trim.
Yeah.
Because that's generally, your flat and your eggshell generally aren't cracking and
probably
peeling
oil-based
on the
that wasn't primed or it had a layer
Right.
of dust under it. But Bill, or it expanded and contracted over the years so much. So Bill, I guess it's all a matter. It's really just a cosmetic question. It's like, can you handle scraping away all the loose stuff? You just push on it and see if there's give. And do you want to strip every bit of it, or do you mind if there's little imperfections? In older homes, some people don't care if there's imperfections.
Some people pay extra for that crackled look.
But there's no fun answer to this. It's basically scraping gently without gouging up the wood and getting it to where it stops coming off easily. Then you can either just leave it there and prime it. And
if you got good ventilation, I find that a heat gun will often help pop that stuff off if it's already reached an age where it's cracking and peeling.
Or you can do the civilized thing, Bill, and just save yourself some mental exhaustion and just pull that trim off and replace it. I mean, honestly, if it's just some door trim, this is usually where it fails.
Yes.
You're almost better off. Just go to you get fresh new trim. But Bill, we need a little more info.
Put it up. Yep.
I don't know if this is peeling.
We need a picture.
Yeah, because it could be that this is an older home and maybe it's peeling off the ceiling in the bathroom or the walls.
Right.
There was an era back in the 50s where they made these little cubby showers with no ventilation.
Yep.
And those things always mildewed and peeled and failed and everything.
Pretty terrible idea.
Yeah. So, Bill, but hey, that's a lot of. We appreciate all the texters, and there's a pretty wide variety of comments and questions today. But we need some more. We need some more information, Bill. But and we appreciate you listening at 5 a.m. That's one of the beauties of modern day. Being able to listen 24 hours a day. So, hey, Alan, we don't. So, any more texts, Max? Is that everybody?
We're all good.
Okay. But, Alan, we don't want to get out of here before we talk about what we're up to. So what are you up to, man? With darkoakmedia.com.
Well, we finally got a good location, so we're going to be doing a lot more filming coming up. very, very shortly.
You got a full production company that you don't talk about much. I don't know why. But,
I do. Right now we're heading into the Halloween season.
Mm-hmm.
So our shows that feature our dear buddy down in New Orleans with haunted history are, of course, becoming the more popular items on our YouTube channel at Dark Oak Media.
Right.
So if you want to find out a little bit about New Orleans and the haunted things and stuff that goes bump in the night, and, of course, our biggie is, all of our Tool Talk shows. You can pop onto tooltalkradio.com or you can go to darkoakmedia.com and follow along on YouTube. And we honestly have got hundreds, if not thousands of hours of content posted up there. So
we're getting close.
Yeah, you can go for years and years and years worth of content.
It goes back further than you might realize,
yeah.
folks. But also I am imploring those people that are listening out of the country, if you would please send us some pictures. I'm really dying to know what kind of because you said there's some people that are in New Zealand and Finland and places like that.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good following going in Canada, Australia, New Zealand. I'm just fascinated with the New Zealand's crowd.
Well,
love the Australians. Know a couple of those.
Well, they have home improvement challenges we don't even think about. Didn't you tell me a story, Max, the other day about a boa constrictor that, luckily we don't.
It was this was courtesy of the Nation of Jake on the Wheel of Weird. A snake came out of a man's toilet in Thailand.
A 12-foot boa constrictor.
A 12-foot python or whatever. But that was not a pleasant story. Good news is snake was dead, but the man didn't need stitches in his you-know-where.
Yeah, okay, let's move it along. But that's the thing. We don't think about those challenges, but if you live in some of these more exotic locations, so that's what we want. Everybody has a home, and everybody's got
I would love to hear home
challenge.
repair stories from Finland or Sweden or someplace like that. Yeah.
What do you do when you got 10 feet of snow pushing down on your roof?
Our dear Canadians, I know you guys got some great stories.
Yeah, so get in touch. It's a big family here on Tool Talk Radio. Just go to tooltalkradio.com. But time's up, man. The show
We're done.
Evaporated before our ears. So on behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.